Hey everyone, welcome back to some new tales from the Callcenter. I hope you had a great day. The first story is called Don't Mess with This Manager. I do tech support for a national provider that offers TV service among other things. At the moment, due to 2020, we are only sending technicians into customers' homes if all services or an essential service are down. In other words, if you only have one TV and it's not working, we will send a tech. 4 TVs and one isn't working, no tech for you at the moment. We do credit you for the outage, however. So I answer the phone to someone who initially refuses to verify his identity. This is always a warning flag that we are entering Karen territory. This Carlin, a male Karen, after I dragged his ID out of him with a hook, promptly tells me that he is not at home, so he can't do any troubleshooting. And even if he was home, he wouldn't troubleshoot, because that's your job, not mine. Yeah, that's a strike too for me. After much grumbling, he tells me the issue. His TV in his pool house is not working. This is one of his 5 televisions, by the way. But it's not working, and it's my job to try to fix it. So I asked him when he'll be home, so that I can try to troubleshoot it with him. Did you not hear me? I'm not doing that. That's not my job. Send me a tech. That's his job. Gosh, I'm so sorry, but I'm not sending you a technician. If the rest of your TVs are working, the best I can do is schedule one for after the restrictions are lifted. No, what you are going to do is get me a technician, or today is the day you'll lose your job. Again, I'm so sorry, but you are not getting a technician. It's not an option. Then I'm going to quit all your services. Do you hear that? I'm going to quit, and you are going to get fired. Now get me your manager. What this Carlin does not get is that my manager makes me seem like a picnic. He has about lost his mind with stress over the last week or so, and he's had enough of everyone's crap. So I fill my manager in, he listens to the call, and then he comes on the line. The manager introduces himself to the Carlin, and then Karen smugly says, "It's about time, get me my tech," but the manager interrupts him. "So I understand you want to cancel your services because you can't get a technician. So I've gone ahead and cancelled your account for you. We'll issue you a credit for the balance and you'll need to drop off your equipment at this address." Now, hold on a minute here. Great, it's done. I've cancelled it for you, and you have a great day. Click. It was less than 2 hours before the Carlin called into the office, asked for his services to be reconnected, and politely agreed to troubleshoot his TV issue over the phone. He just needed to reboot it. The next story is called She Didn't Like This Explanation. I worked for a personal health company. We got incoming calls from people searching for our site or for the services provided. And sometimes our business bought old numbers from businesses that shut down. Because of this, we occasionally got wrong number calls. But my god, this woman. "Thank you for calling. How can I help you today?" "I need a water heater." A water heater?" She was already impatient. "Yes, I need a water heater." "Okay, I believe you have the wrong number. As previously stated, you're calling this company name with the word health in the name, and we do not sell water heaters." "Listen, this was the number listed for some water heaters company's name, so I called it, and you need to sell me a water heater." "Ma'am, I'm sorry for the confusion, but we do not sell water heaters." "So what, you won't sell me one?" "Well, I can't sell you one because we don't sell them." She was becoming irate. "Are you telling me there isn't a water heater for you to sell in your entire building?" It was 6 AM and I'm already tired. "I'm sure there's a water heater somewhere in this building, but it belongs to the building and I wouldn't be authorized to sell it to anyone. I'd advise checking online to see if there's another company you can." She interrupts. She got condescending now. "Oh, so you can't sell me that? You can't? Really? What do you sell?" "Oh, medical testing." "Oh, really? Medical testing? What kind?" It's for, well, we sell testing for STDs. She sounded like I'm an idiot. "And what is an STD?" After I explained that to her, she screamed, "How dare you!" And she hung up. The third story is called The Best Message Possible for the Call Center. I work for a government department responsible for collecting and chasing overdue taxes, which makes us unpopular, to say the least. For an idea of scale, our total of full-time employees is around 4,000 to 5,000 staff. Every now and then I overhear my colleagues getting into an argument with a caller. Usual etiquette is to ask them if they are alright following the call. Over time, a recurring name kept on popping up during these conversations. We'll call him SA for Scumbag Accountant. By all accounts, SA used to work for our very department many years ago, likely when we still had desk phones all hardwired together. He would know precisely what to say to avoid getting the call terminated. Given the nature of our work, we have an extremely liberal termination policy compared to most companies. Whilst I never had the displeasure of speaking to him directly, however, he got through to 3 of my own team and my manager to spout his spiel. His modus operandi was to pick at the insecurities of the caller, testing their knowledge of the system and of tax law in general to try and get his own way. SA reduced one of my colleagues to tears. He made one of the calmest guys I know go into a rage. And he made my cool as a cucumber manager back down the phone. It's not surprising no one will help you with how rude you are. At this point, SA was an infamous figure within our own subsection of the department. However, we still tried to deal with him to the best of our ability. On one occasion, he didn't like what he was told by one of us and screamed, "You people and your department are a bunch of idiots." Ironically, he didn't hang that one up correctly, and his client picked up the phone as he stormed off. We were able to resolve the issue there and then, without the interjection of SA himself. Little did we know, SA had somehow built himself this reputation throughout our entire department of 4,000 to 5,000 people and our operations department of around 8,000 people. Unsurprisingly, this brought the attention of our directorate heads themselves. Fast forward about 3 months, an email pings through to all of us. It was earmarked as internal news for all telephony staff. I'll spare the usual corporate jargon and give you the short version. Due to repeated infractions against our telephony staff, any calls received from SA or his associated firm, SA Accountancy, is to be terminated immediately without reason or recourse. When this came through, I could see colleagues all through the office displaying big cheesy grins with the occasional yes being said under breath. From what we gathered, SA and his firm dealt solely with tax accountancy. And now that they can't speak to us about their clients' issues, what will become of them? I really hope he gets to the point that we are knocking on his door soon. I can't even fathom how one person can anger a gargantuan corporate body consisting of thousands of staff to the point that he is barred from speaking to us indefinitely. The last story is called "That Was Worth It." Years ago, I worked in a call center for one of the bigger health insurance companies. One of the benefits of the plans we offered was oral surgery. One day, I received a call from a woman in tears. She was saying that her dentist's office is charging her thousands for multiple wisdom tooth surgeries for her teenagers because we haven't paid the claims. And she wants to know what is going on. After some digging, I found that this isn't the first call we received regarding this situation. Both the member and the provider have called us multiple times on this issue. And my coworker I'm close with took an earlier call regarding this issue. The problem was that the dentist's office was submitting the claims with the member's social security number instead of the policy ID number. This was causing issues with the claims getting to the correct claims department for processing. This insurance company had one main mail processing center for the entire country, which means thousands of different policies. Without the ID number, it can be almost impossible to know which office needs to process the claims, as they can have different computer systems to process the claims. Said provider was told on 4 different occasions to submit the claims with the ID number instead of the SSN to have these processed. A really simple correction, which they never made. We are talking about 4 different claims where they would have had to replace the SSN with the ID number, nothing crazy. When my friend took the call, the provider's office demanded a staff address stamped envelope to send these into for reimbursement. They received that envelope, sent in the claims using the SSN and waited. This is where I come in. 2 months later, I receive a call from the wife of the policyholder, saying the doctor's office is threatening to send them to collections due to not receiving payment from us. This is where an important tidbit comes into play. They were a preferred provider and by law could not charge the member because claims must be submitted and processed by us before they can charge the patient. This is part of the dentist's office contract with us. So I put the member on hold and call the provider. This is where the fun starts. The office manager starts going off on me, saying she submitted the claims in a self-addressed stamped envelope that she sent to us and still didn't receive payment. So I put her on hold and have 3 managers looking for this envelope. While they are still looking for it, I get back to her and reiterate that she is the preferred provider. The claims have not been submitted with the ID number, and that until we find the claims, she cannot legally bill the member. That is met with a "screw you and screw your insurance company. I will do what I want," and after that she hung up. So, being the good call center employee I am, I immediately call the office back and a guy answers. I say, I'm from this insurance company and I was just speaking with Mrs. Office Manager and I believe we were accidentally disconnected in the sweetest voice I could muster. The poor guy comes back after 30 seconds and says she refuses to talk to you. I inform the nice gentleman on the phone that if this isn't resolved then I would be forced to contact provider relations. He repeats what I said to someone and returns with, she says she doesn't care and she refuses to speak with you. I say I understand and say I have to report this to provider relations. For what it's worth, provider relations is who approves preferred providers and handles the contracts with them. I also have to say this was a major health insurance company. If the office loses their preferred status, they could lose up to 35% of the customers due to having our insurance. I go back to the member, assure her that legally she's protected and if they send her to collections, she should call back so she could be connected to our legal department. I also inform her that I would be reporting this to provider relations. Later that day, one of the managers finds the envelope of claims forms. The reason we couldn't find it initially? It was addressed to a specific supervisor, based on the call my coworker took before me. And the mail team just set it on his desk full of paperwork overnight and he never saw it until they were looking for it. Monday morning comes around and it's time for a follow-up. Claims adjusters are diligently working on processing all the claims and issue payment via check for the provider for the amount they were expecting. I called the member to let her know and she was super relieved. And then I call the provider. A different guy answers and I explain the situation to him, including that provider relations could be involved. Turns out he is a dentist who owns the practice and the woman who cussed at me was not only the office manager but his wife. He says, "What is your direct line? She will be calling you later today." 3 hours later I get a call to my direct line. It is the office manager who cussed at me. She apologizes to me for her behavior and seems happy that a check is on its way. Seems like the end, right? Wrong. Over a month later, I got a frantic voicemail from the same member who had my direct line. At this point, her husband is out of the country for work. She is trying to move herself and her family across the country for his upcoming transfer to a different office. And she gets a call from the office manager saying they received the checks but won't accept them. The office manager told her they have to charge her for the full 7K price and will send them to collections in 2 weeks if payment isn't received. Why? Because they don't trust we won't adjust the claims to pay less and demand money back from them. That's not how any of this works because of contracted amounts for services, but whatever. I reassure the woman that she is still protected due to the office being an in-network provider. And if they sent her to collections, that we could get our legal team involved. I put her on hold again to call the office again. The office manager demands we have a supervisor review the claims to verify we won't take any money back. The reason she demanded this? If a claim is audited and found to have paid too much, we will issue a refund on the claim where they have to pay us back. I know that this sounds shady. But in reality, this only happens if the claim was issued with an incorrect diagnosis code and procedure code combo that pays more than the correct diagnosis code and procedure code. Think of a claim that was submitted for a complicated tooth extraction, but a random audit or review of medical records found it was a simple tooth extraction that should have paid less. We do that, send confirmation to the doctor's office is now happy and so is the member. I get a call back from the office manager who apologizes once again and seems to be happy at this point. The office got their money, the member didn't have to pay out of pocket and everyone was happy in the end. 2 weeks later I come into work and see an envelope on my desk. It's a check for $150 from the company I work for with a handwritten letter from the Vice President of Customer Service saying something along the lines of, "Thank you for going above and beyond." Turns out the member I had helped called in and asked for my supervisor once everything was resolved. Only she wasn't happily talking to just my manager. She was adamant about talking to my manager's supervisor, then that supervisor's supervisor until she reached the Vice President of Customer Service. She then told him about what I did and how it was resolved without her having to pay any extra money. So in the end, I was able to help a woman who was super stressed and over her head. I received not 1 but 2 apologies from the office manager of a dentist's office and ended up with an extra $150 in the process. Working in a call center can be soul-sucking, but that situation was incredibly satisfying and worth it. And that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to click the like button. And if you are new here, don't forget to subscribe. Let me know what you think about this episode in the comment section below. Have a great day. Bye bye.